Hello and welcome to Football League World TV. My name's Ned Holmes and this is The Debate Show. My colleagues today, Chris Thorpe and Adam Jones, will be tasked with discussing who they believe are the three best Championship strikers of all time. It's obviously a debate that's likely to throw up a fair bit of controversy, and I'm happy to admit that I'm in the host seat for this one. How are you feeling today, Chris?
Yeah, really good, mate. Looking forward to going through, some more recent names and some older faces as well. So yeah, should be good.
Absolutely. And what about you, Adam?
I'm very nervous because I think there's loads of names really that we missed out, but we could only pick three each. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what people in the comments come up with as well.
Absolutely. Well, as Adam said, make sure you get your comments in because we really do want to hear your suggestions and maybe your frustration when a name comes up that you don't think deserves to be there. But before we get started, just a reminder really to like and subscribe Football League World TV on YouTube. And of course, don't forget to get involved in the comments. Now, let's get going. We start with a striker then who was on both your lists, and it's one that's back in the Championship and amongst the goals now. Adam, why does Billy Sharp sort of top your list?
Yeah, it's almost a sort of welcome back to FLW TV and your daily dose of Billy Sharp propaganda, really. But I just think he's top class. Mr. Consistent, as I said in the last show that I was on, Mr. Championship, Mr. Reliable, call him what you want. He's just absolutely fantastic. The fact that he's 35 and still firing, it just kind of tells you a lot about him, really. He was well into his, well, not well into his 30s, but he was in his early 30s when when the 2018-19 season happened and he scored 23 goals in kind of getting Sheffield United back to the Premier League. So just goes to show you really, he's kind of aged really like fine wine. He's fantastic. And, one of the leading kind of Championship goal scorers of all time. And as I said in the last show as well, he battled back so well in pre-season to get back to full fitness after surgery. And has kind of battled against that adversity of being in and around the first team during the Premier League era. I suppose that's really a theme of his career, kind of with his height as well. He's made the most of himself despite only being less than 6 foot. So yeah, I think he's dealt with the adversity well, and he's not only been reliable at Sheffield United as well, but Thorpe, Nottingham Forest, Doncaster over the years. So yeah, role model on and off the pitch and a great leader as well was a massive bonus.
Absolutely. As Adam said there, Chris, Mr. Championship, really, he is obviously near the top of that list of all-time Championship strikers, but I believe he's only got 120 score season in the Championship. So for you, Chris, is it his consistency of scoring high teens of goals plus every season that sets him apart, rather than being one of those strikers that goes off with a sort of 30-goal season regularly?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you can't, doubt his sort of influence in the dressing room. Obviously, captain of his own town club. Pretty sure he's a Sheffield United fan as well. But yeah, I've always admired Billy Sharp way back from when he was playing for Doncaster, to be honest. He obviously went through a few personal issues which were terrible for him and his family, but he bounced back from that and he focused on, didn't lose focus on the pitch. And obviously he got that move to Southampton that doesn't really get talked about, and he helped them to get promotion as well. So yeah, he's had a great career at Championship level and not really proved it when Blades were in the Premier League recently. But yeah, he's sort of at his level where he's always going to, give you 100%, whether that's goals, whether that's assists. The second being the main thing this season because of the sort of creative side of his game that he's influenced this season. He's dropped a bit deeper under Jokanovic, and he's setting up chances for others, and perhaps making the most of the ability that he does have, even though he doesn't perhaps have the sort of pace that he had to his game before. So yeah, no, he's just superb, and for me, he's one of the first names on the team sheet still at Sheffield United.
Absolutely. As you touched on, really important to emphasise, we're not just talking about goal scorers today, we're talking about strikers. And as you say, even though he's 35 now, he's sort of in the twilight of his career, it's been amazing to see that transition this season to I guess, a more creative player. So that's Billy Sharp first on our list, 118 goals, 44 assists in 336 games. Well, of course, get involved. Let us know whether you think Billy Sharp should be there and really who should be alongside him. Next, we go to the nation's capital. Alexander Mitrovic is a player that was on both of your lists and one that's causing havoc again this season. Chris, why did he have to be involved for you?
Just the way that he's thrived under sort of 3 different managers. Obviously done well under the Jokanovic when he was at Fulham, and obviously Scott Parker, and now most recently Marco Silva. He's just so consistent. I think he's averaging about 2 goals a game at the moment this season. Unfortunately for him, he's never really done it at Premier League level, which is perhaps why he isn't as highly rated at that level by many. But at the same time, you have to remember this is a guy who sort of came in from Newcastle United as a kid with a bit of a temperament, and now he's sort of developed into one of the best strikers operating in the country outside the top flight. So, yeah, it's just testament to him and his professionalism, and he's also thrived at international level for Serbia. So, yeah, he's really made a career for himself at Fulham, and yeah, he's not only a sort of a championship legend, if you like, he's more of a Fulham legend as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. 57 goals in 96 games for Alexander Mitrovic, and certainly someone who, he bullies defenders, he dominates them. He's not just a goal scorer. Adam, 15 goals in 14 games in the league this season. Could we be witnessing one of his greatest and one of the great championship seasons?
Yeah, I think he's already had one of the great championship seasons with 26 goals in 40 appearances in the 19-20 campaign. And let's not forget either the 17-18 campaign, where he only made 17 appearances in the championship, I think, and scored 12. So, I think this season has summed him up, really, and I think he's getting even better. So, he's probably one player in the championship that the defenders and fans of opposition teams just dread coming up against. So I think, that just shows his importance. And another thing that shows his importance as well is I remember earlier in the season when Fulham weren't really as clinical, against the likes of Reading, against the likes of Leeds United in the Carabao Cup. And I guess that kind of, he wasn't on the top of his form then. I guess that just shows how important he really is to the side. So yeah, it's not just his goals, but also his all-round play as well. So and I think his importance might be exaggerated by the fact that Muniz is still kind of settling in at Craven Cottage, but you also got to look at the likes of their other players as well. Harry Wilson has scored 3 goals this season, and maybe I was expecting a bit more, but without his 15 goals in 14 appearances, Mitrovic, I don't think they'd be in the autos. So, despite the calibre of players that they do have in their team, signing Nathaniel Chalobah in the summer as well from Premier League, I still think that he's the main man there, and without him, they wouldn't be kind of in the automatic promotion spots.
Absolutely, certainly someone that's proved that he has it in him to sort of carry a team on his back in terms of goals, having done that by them to promotion a few times. He's someone that gaming and family thought was a shout, as well as you and Chris, Adam, and just a reminder to everyone to sort of get your comments, your suggestions in as the show goes on. From one big, powerful forward to another, then Chris, who's your next pick, and why have you gone for them?
Yeah, gone for a bit of a throwback with my third choice. Gone for Rickie Lambert. Obviously, for his time at Southampton, he was an absolute colossus for them up front. Was in that team when they had Lallana and they were really thriving, and he sort of single-handedly provided them to promotion. I even remember being at a game myself. I'm pretty sure it was Crystal Palace against Southampton at Selhurst Park. I'm not a Palace fan, just putting it out there, but I happened to be there, and Southampton played him off the park, and I'm pretty sure Lambert bagged 2 goals that day, and he was absolutely superb. And then, obviously he went on to score, I think it was 15 goals in his first Premier League season when Saints went up. So he's shown that he can do it at a higher level, and then eventually managed to get some England caps as well. And obviously that big move to Liverpool. So, he sort of learnt his trade in the lower leagues, went to Southampton, and it sort of formed, the best part of his career, if you like, and took him to the next level and probably a level that both he and other people probably didn't expect he'd go to. So, yeah, he definitely makes my list.
Absolutely, Chris, and someone who was, I guess, big, powerful strikers like that, you usually associate them with just scoring headers, goals in the box, but a set piece threat as well.
Yeah, absolutely. His direct free kicks were superb, and obviously getting goals from corners himself when they were delivered into the box. But yeah, like just could score all types of goals really, and also he might be one that you perhaps didn't like too much, Ned, because he was obviously at Bristol Rovers before as well.
Absolutely, and one of the few, as we said, we were talking before the show aired. Really, we were talking about how difficult it seems to be for strikers to prove their quality in the Premier League. He was one that did that. Adam, coming to you on Rickie Lambert, 31 goals and 14 assists in 60 championship appearances are great numbers as they are. Slightly weakened by that spell at Cardiff, I guess, toward the end of his career, just before retirement. But do you think that 2011-12 campaign with Southampton, 27 goals, 14 assists, is probably one of the best we've ever seen at this level from a striker?
Yeah, I think it definitely is. And the fact as well that Southampton weren't exactly an established championship side kind of at that time. As Chris said, he had to work his way up the lower leagues. And I think, again, that's another fight against adversity that he's overcome. I guess that's kind of the theme really of this show so far with Sharp. But Lambert also, managing to adapt his game, from League One to the Championship and then to the Premier League. So yeah, I think that was probably one of the best striking performances that we've seen kind of throughout a whole season with his consistency as well. And I guess you could put that down to the likes of Lallana being there, Adam Lallana, Nathaniel Klein, some of the caliber of the players that they had, astonishing really in the Championship when you look back at it. But, that doesn't take away from the fact that he, was fantastic during that season, guided them to second place. I'm not quite sure who finished top of the Championship during the 11-12 season. It was Reading, but I'll just put that out there. But no, I can't take that away from Southampton because and Lambert because he was fantastic and as I said, worked his way up the leagues and he was brilliant.
Absolutely. So Rickie Lambert, our third choice today. Coming to you then, Adam, for your third pick and our final one from you two today. Who is it and why are they on your list?
It's Dwight Yorke for two magnificent seasons, really. One at Newcastle and one at West Bromwich Albion. And I guess he was in two different situations at Newcastle and West Brom. On the one hand, you've got Newcastle where they, there's a heavy weight of expectation. They were expected to go back at the first time of asking. There was a shock that they even went down in the first place. So him managing that expectation was impressive, really, and him stepping up. I've got to commend him for that. West Brom, on the other hand, I wouldn't say that he carried them to the playoffs, but he played a massive part. I remember that season, I think it was in 18-19, where he guided pretty much West Brom to the playoffs, and there was a change in manager. I think Darren Moore was sacked and then Jimmy Shang came in, but still maintained his form. I remember in the first leg of the playoffs, actually against Villa, he got sent off. He scored earlier in the match and then I think he got sent off. And I think that was the difference because they lost on penalties at the end in the second leg. I think he was the difference between Aston Villa going up and staying down. I think West Brom may have gone through to the final with him there. So I just go to show how vital that he was. You look at him over the years, some of his finishes and some of his goals weren't exactly spectacular, but that doesn't take anything away from him. That's no real insult because he had to get himself in the right positions at the right time. He was a clinical striker, got himself in the right positions. And I think I'd go even as far as saying he's a role model to other strikers, for the positions that he was getting himself in. Not quite good enough for the Premier League, but too good for the Championship. I'm not sure how that one works, but fantastic in the second tier and, one of the best forwards that I think I've seen, during my time.
Absolutely, certainly another one that falls in that bracket between sort of the second tier and the Premier League. So that was his record: 59 goals and 16 assists in 100 games. A pretty ridiculous ratio there. That's some record, isn't it, Chris? he's someone that seems to be linked back to the Championship in every single transfer window. It's usually West Brom, it's sometimes Forest or someone like that. He's 32 now, and obviously with the Newcastle takeover, it looks like that looks tough for him to fight his way back in there. Do you think we could see him returning to the second tier at some point soon, Chris?
Yeah, definitely. It all just depends on his sort of desire to be a regular starter. I think you ask any player, they want to be starting week in, week out, and at his age, he needs to be. So yeah, no, it wouldn't shock me at all if you saw not just one or two, but several clubs linked with him. But yeah, I just want to sort of touch on what Adam was saying about him. What I always admired about him was his journey from Dagenham and Redbridge. Peterborough United, as they always do, snapped him up as a bit of a non-league / lower league gem, and he obviously done really well at London Road, and that's when Crystal Palace signed him. And yeah, his career's just gone from strength to strength, and he's just sort of stayed in between that lower Premier League to higher Championship sort of level. And I really hope that he gets back to playing regularly and banging in the goals. So yeah, no, I think any Championship side worth their salt should be taking a punt on him in January for sure.
Absolutely. And as we've talked about previously, I guess alongside the likes of Sharp and Lambert, someone that's battled back through adversity and to form these huge careers and be so consistent in a league like the Championship, which really is so crazy. Well, that's both of your suggestions, but just a reminder to everyone watching to sort of get your comments, your suggestions in before we go. But I've got a few more strikers to throw at the boys now. As I said, to play a little devil's advocate, I just thought I'd pick up a few names and see if they stick with any of you two. Adam, going back a little bit, the likes of David Nugent, Ross McCormack, and Kevin Phillips, any of those three really stand out to you as really top names in terms of Championship strikers?
I think all three do. I think, again, like you think with Billy Sharp, you think with David Nugent, kind of Mr. Championship, that sort of thing. So yeah, I think Ross McCormack, I think his career was kind of tainted a little bit by his time. I think it was with Aston Villa, but had a fantastic kind of career at Leeds. So that was a bit of a shame that it kind of went a bit sour. And I think he's plying his trade in kind of lower leagues the last time that I heard. So that again, as I said, a massive shame. But Kevin Phillips, he's loved in Newcastle. A real cult hero. Obviously, I think he was playing before I was even born, to be honest with you. But he, I still remember him playing, for Birmingham City. I think it was 08-09. So it just shows you really how long, like again, Sharp, he managed to kind of string out his career and stay fit and stay, at such a level, in the second tier, and that's kind of a real. You've got to commend him for that. So yeah, I think all three of those names, deserve to be on this list, and I think about a million other names also deserve to be on this list. So yeah, really tough one.
Absolutely a tough one. One name, I guess, who's still in the league, Chris, is Jordan Rhodes. He, I wouldn't say would make that many people's top three anymore. Despite having a sort of great goals to games ratio at this level. Would you say that similar, I guess, to what Adam's saying about the Ross McCormack factor, would you say his struggles in recent seasons have seen him sort of drop down the pecking order in terms of all-time Championship strikers? Yeah,
absolutely. When I think about Jordan Rhodes, I just remember him in League One for Huddersfield rather than what he'd done in the Championship later on in his career. It's in League One he sort of made his name and everyone was talking about him. But then if you look in more recent years, he's had a few strange moves that just haven't worked out. Sheffield Wednesday, Norwich City, obviously Blackburn was the big one, and obviously Middlesbrough as well. I can't forget that. It's just not really gone his way last few years, and obviously he's had his injury problems since going back to Huddersfield. But he'll be laughing because he's bagged himself a decent contract there. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he bags the goals when he gets back to full fitness for sure.
Absolutely. And just one more for you, Chris, but before we go, a player that I'd say if he's watching now, which he may well be, will feel a little bit unlucky to not be named, and that's Ivan Toney. Obviously, a ridiculously dominant season. he seems to be someone that not only dominated the Championship, but looks set to dominate the Premier League as well. Why would you say for you he was just outside the top three?
I don't know. I just think more recently, he done really well at Peterborough, got his move to Brentford. I'd say that's 2 seasons that he's done well. Whereas the others have kind of more your sort of staple Championship, legendary sort of players, if you like. If he'd done it for like 5 seasons like Mitrovic or Billy Sharp, for example, then I'd be more inclined to put him in the top 3. But that's taking nothing away from Tony. He's a fantastic player. I was watching some of him last night against Stoke in the Carabao Cup, and he was superb. Obviously got his goal, but he was also dropping deep all the time and threading passes through like a number 10. So yeah, he's just superb, like all-round striker, and I could see him getting double figures this season for Brentford. More towards the sort of 10/15 mark if they create the chances for him. But one other name I thought that I should mention, and Adam sort of reminded me of it, was Adam Lafondra. That season that Reading went up, he was superb. I'm pretty sure they signed him from Rotherham because he done really well there. And I just think he's another one who deserves a good mention because he's like your typical penalty box finisher, if you like. So yeah, he'd definitely be another one that I'd mention as one that we've perhaps missed out.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, as you said, the likes of Lafondra and Tony, who were so dominant, alongside players like Tammy Abraham, Pookie, Glenn Murray, Dean Ashton, players like that. The fact they're outside the top 3, I guess, really speaks to the quality of the players on our list. And just a reminder before we go, the players picked by Chris and Adam. Chris and Adam both went for Billy Sharp. They both went for Alexander Mitrovic. Adam also picked Dwight Gale, and Chris with Rickie Lambert. Well, that's all from us on today's debate show. Make sure you tune into Football League TV London show at 4 p.m. with George Douglas and Billy Mully. Thank you, Chris and Adam, and thanks everyone for watching.